So before we talked about what unconditional love is, now let's talk about some ways to start practicing unconditional love. Because it's great to know what something is, but if you don't know how to practice it, then there's no point in knowing it. I mean, yeah, knowing is half the battle. It's an old, G.I. Joe reference. But you got to start applying that knowledge. That's the other half of the battle. And there are many ways, like mentioned before, there are many different versions of unconditional love. But regardless of what version of unconditional love you decide to move forward with, there are still guidelines for this. There are still things you need to emit and do and just be aware of when practicing unconditional love. And it's crucial. These things are really important. Because otherwise, if you aren't doing these things that I'm about to just start talking about, then you are doing yourself the greatest disservice, which will in turn be you doing a disservice to others because you aren't properly practicing it without the condition. Practice of love, there are many things. So, did I mention this before? I don't recall. But practicing self-forgiveness is really important. Before you can have the capacity to forgive anyone, you have to forgive yourself. Yeah. You have to forgive yourself. And that could look like you honestly you're gonna have to sit with those emotions for whatever happened. And because how I did it, just to say, use myself as an example, how I did it, I said something to myself along the lines of, like during a meditation, that I forgive myself for what happened. Now I can tell for sure. You might hear me say that, and you're like, what do you mean? Like, I didn't do the thing. Granted, yeah, you didn't do the thing. Whatever that thing was, you didn't do it. However, even still, when I told myself that I forgave myself for allowing it to happen, it still works. It's even me saying it right now, I still feel that that feeling of I don't know, it's like peace. That's the best way I can describe it, as a feeling of peace, right in the heart chakra area. Because yeah, true, you didn't do the thing, but in a way, for real, you allowed it to happen, and that takes some real brutal honesty with yourself. Because regardless of what happened, something led to you. How the universe works. I kid you not. The universe will always send some kind of sign. Your intuition is always talking. It's always telling you something, and you may have been told something by your intuition, and you overlooked it. You ignored it, and it's okay. This is a part of the self-forgiving process. It's okay. So once you tell yourself, you forgive yourself for allowing it to happen, and just sit with those emotions for a bit, and even sit with the emotions before that, because you still have to identify the thing that you want to have that forgiveness for. You have to forgive yourself for allowing it to happen. In addition to what I've been saying before, as a conscious being, we create everything that is around us, whether it's something we actually want or we actually don't. Because again, where focus goes, energy flows. Wherever you give most of your focus or your light to, that's the thing that you're going to experience on a more consistent basis until you switch your focus to that thing that you want. And in this case of this video, we're talking about unconditional love, how to practice it, and one of the steps is practicing self-forgiveness. So the first step I would say is self-forgiveness. So just like I was doing before, close your eyes to block out any distractions, because our eyes take in a lot of information. You're just gonna think about that thing. Do this along with me. You're gonna think about that thing that is weighing on you the most. And you're feeling, for the most part, this thing that happened. Someone really betrayed you. Someone did something, and you're finding it difficult to forgive them. And so you're gonna think about them, what happened, and how you felt, and just say to yourself, whether you say it vocally or just within yourself with your inner voice, I forgive myself for allowing that to happen. You don't have to go into detail. My eyes are open now, just so you know. But you don't have to go into detail of what happened. But as you already, those emotions and everything that has any connection to what you are focusing on in that moment, in that moment, that's all you have to do. You don't have to go into detail. There's no need for that. Your emotion, that energy there, that energy in motion has all the details. All you're saying is that you forgive yourself for allowing it to happen. Again, you still allowed it to happen. Regardless of, admittedly, regardless of if you have warnings or not, you allow something into your experience. And beginning this process of practicing unconditional love, you could be more aware and have more discernment so you can catch these kinds of things before they happen. So you cannot allow another experience like that to come into your experience. That's the part of self-forgiveness. I hope that makes sense. Once I came to that conclusion myself, it made sense because it's like, man, it's a whole lot. Trust me. Like, for example, the fact that we chose to come here, something I'm not wrestling with it as much as I was once I just accepted, like, I chose to come here. Like, now that I know why I did, at least I feel like I know why I did, based on just what I want to do with my experience moving forward in this vessel as a spiritual being, have a human experience and whatnot. But yeah, regardless of what happened, regardless of who it was, regardless of how long ago it was, regardless of like every possible factor you can think of, if you can forgive yourself for allowing it to happen, that's that first step, with the first step being practicing self-forgiveness and practicing unconditional love. And once you're able to forgive yourself for allowing things to happen, you'll find it easier to forgive others for what they've done, whether they apologize or not, because some people don't apologize, and that honestly can make it much more difficult to forgive. Because, like, how are you not aware that you did this thing that made me feel this way? Like, bro, how dare you? But yeah, you get it. And another thing with forgiveness is to forgive unconditionally. Like, that's kind of like the next phase with it, because once you forgive that person, that might not change. They honestly could continue to display the same behavior and patterns as they did before. Now, this is where that unconditional love with boundaries comes in, because once you forgive them and you still see those same patterns, you know what to do. Simple as that. I don't think I need to expound upon that any more than that. Once you see those same patterns after you forgive them, and after you talk about it, after you express how it made you feel, would you forgive them? If they still continuing to persist, well, I gotta build a wall. Like, I'm good. I'm good on all that. So you can stay over there. Alright? So yeah, I don't think I need to expound upon that anymore. So yeah, unconditionally forgive. You can forgive and still have, like I said before, you can burn that bridge. But that person, that being on the other side of that bridge, you can still have unconditional love for them, because you're just going to admit that love. This would lead to the next point of empathy. So, empathy is a crucial part. I know I mentioned it before. This means, like, so, like some of you watching this video, I did watch Adventure Time growing up, and I would never forget the empathy song that Jake, what's the name of that green guy? Can't remember his name, but Jake taught him the empathy song, which goes like, empathy, put yourself in the place of me. And it's like, literally, as the song says, you are putting yourself in a person's shoes. Now, for myself, because like, I'm just going to use myself as an example a lot, that helps me through a lot of things. That helps me catch, well, soon it will help you catch things before you get to that point, because with your interactions with people, you'll be able to discern and pick up on things just with your awareness, and just your intuition is going to be faster too at this point. You'll be able to pick up on things much sooner, and when your intuition speaks, you'll listen attentively. Like, why is this person? What's going on with this? And I also mentioned before, just because something looks like something, that doesn't mean it's the same thing. But patterns are patterns. You'll start to know it's like, this kind of looks like this, and you're not throwing up a red flag. You're like, I'm gonna be aware of it. I'm not gonna say the word cautious. I'm gonna be aware of that behavior, of that thing that they're doing, and see what happens. Now that's okay. Now if you decide to leave because it looks like something, that's okay. That's still your choice. It is what it is. Now if you're someone like me and you notice stuff like that, you'll allow it to be. You'll allow that person to be, and without fail, they will always show you that they are either doing the same patterns as this previous person, or they just have like this thing that's like this other person. And you can talk about it with them. I mean, oh, please do talk about it with them. And if they're the kind of person that wants to grow and actually are serious about the relationship you have with them, whether it be whether it be romantic, platonic, or professional, then great. They'll do what they have to do to make sure that you're good so they can keep that relationship moving forward. But if they aren't that kind of person, then hey, you know what to do. Which that leads me to this other point, communicating open. And this means being honest and open about how you feel. You're actively listening to what they're talking about. So this is one of my favorite things and also one of my pet peeves. Whenever someone is speaking, you shut up. Or just to be as blatant as possible, you shut the fuck up while somebody's talking, alright? Simple as that. You shut the fuck up while somebody's talking. Wait for them to say what they gotta say. And you're giving them eye contact. No matter how uncomfortable it feels, you let them know, yo, I'm here. I'm listening. I'm here. I'm actively listening. And then as you're making eye contact, don't just do it and just blindly stare into their eyes, because you might get distracted depending on how the person is and how you feel about them. Actively listen and make sure if you forget something, cool, just ask for them to repeat. But the thing is, you're actively going to listen to what they're saying. Then you're going to respond to what they say. I'm going to say that again. You're going to respond to what they say. Not only respond with what you want to say. Not only respond with what you want to say. Because again, if you even do the eye contact thing and you're actively listening, you're thinking about what they say to you and all that stuff, but you only respond with what you want to say, that defeats the purpose of actively listening. Because at that point, it's like what they said didn't even matter. Because rather than responding to what they said, then with what you wanted to say, it completely, trust me, they're going to feel like their words aren't being heard. They're going to feel like they aren't being heard. Then it's what's the point of open communication and actively listening if you're not actually going to do it? And it's really important. The fact that I've had experiences like that before has helped me to notice it. And it's I noticed they did that before. I'm gonna bring it up to them and see how they respond. And the thing is always to respond and communicate in a communicate in a non-defensive way. So regardless of what they say, you don't take any offense. And when you're communicating with them, you try to also communicate non-offensively. So this is going to require a lot of patience on both parts. If both parties are wanting to do this, then great. If not, then it depends on how well both parties are willing to keep continuing to put it in work. But I have to stress this: when someone is talking, you shut up, actively listen, and respond to what they say. Because granted, yes, you'll have some stuff you want to say, regardless of what they say, which is cool. However, you have to acknowledge what they say. That's how communication works. It's a two-way street. It's not listen and then you say what you want to say, but it's okay, what about these things I just put on the table? I talked about you did this thing, you did that thing, you did this thing, but instead of you responding to the things that they talked about that made them feel some kind of way, you just responded with what you want to say. I was now those three things is what the heck was the point of this conversation? It's what are you get it. I know you get it at this point. But it's like, okay, yeah. So now that person that's highlighted those three things that felt that made them feel some kind of way. Now you respond to what they said about, oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know that these actions made you feel this way when I did that, when I did the other thing or that. Because I was thinking, now you get to say what you want to say, and then you just go back and forth like you're playing ping pong, but no one's going to win. You're just going to be a stalemate, because now like the ball's going to hit the net and it's going to fall, and then I guess maybe ping pong is not the best analogy, but you know what I'm saying. Like there's no, everyone wins in the end of this, at the end of the conversation, because they got heard, they were able to express how they were feeling. You were able to understand where they were coming from and also express what they were feeling, and then vice versa, because now they understand where you're coming from and how you're feeling. So it's a two-way street. You have to be able to communicate, because also when you're talking, keep in mind, because I've experienced this quite a bit, if you are the kind of person like myself who knows how to shut the fuck up and listen actively and respond to what they're saying, beautiful. However, if you've had experiences or you begin to experience individuals who continue to interrupt you, now, like I said, that's a pet peeve of mine, and it's something I'm working on, because I know not every conversation is going to be perfect, but I always make it a point to bring that up, to where it's like, you want, and this is also me talking about myself, where I want a communication of communication, not being communicated at, like someone to communicate with you, not communicate at you, because to communicate at you is when they are just only responding to what they want to say, and that is very, man. But yeah, keep that in mind. Like, take note of it. If you're having the discussion with someone and they continuously interrupt you, be patient. Let them know that you gave them their chance to speak, so you can get a better understanding of their perspective. And now it's your turn. If they have trouble with that, again, be patient. However, if it is a consistent pattern, keyword pattern, we know what to do. And then there's also expressing the love that you have for them, whether it be verbally, non-verbally. Like before, I mentioned I didn't talk about love languages, but I'm going to start talking about it now. So, understanding your significant other's love language. Now, I guess in this point, it'll be for, I guess, no. Let me take some step back. Not just your significant other, because your friends and I guess professional individuals as well have, like, again, with boundaries. Like, they're like, let's say, yeah, like, it doesn't matter. Like, you can show your love for people, whether it be your significant other, your friends, or your business colleagues, because love knows no bounds. Love is eternal. Love is infinite. It's just that for your significant other, between you and them, that's, hey, like, now love languages have some romance with it. But then with your friends and your business professionals, business like colleagues and whatnot, you can get to learn their love languages too, if you're so inclined to do that. And it's like that. Now that I'm even talking about it, I don't even know the love languages of my friends. Huh. Wow. But I mean, whether you know the love languages of your friends or business associates or not, it's okay. However, there's like a different avenue of, like, you can express love for people that you aren't being romantic with, which, now that I'm even saying that out loud, is something that I do. But now the whole thing with the love languages, it's different, because there's no physical touch. There's no I think that's the main one when it comes to friends and people who aren't your significant other. Yeah, I think that's really the main one, because you can spend time with your friends and business professionals. I mean, it's different. Now I'm even saying it more out loud. It's different when it gets to that business professional, because it's like, yeah, or even just like people you work with in general that aren't friends. Like I get no. Let me dial that back. Love languages mainly are only for your, um, honestly, fully for your significant other, partially for your. No. Let me redact that twice. All the love languages, fully for your significant other, partial love languages for your platonic friends, and even less for your associates, whether business or whatever, because all of them can be exercised for every avenue. It's just that for your significant other, they're the one that gets like all of it. Because I mean, you're spending your life with this person or this group of people. For the polyamorous people that are watching this, they are the only ones that get all of the romance and the love languages and all that stuff. Your friends and colleagues and associates and whatnot, they just get, they get some love, but like not the same kind of love. That's honestly that's a no-brainer. What am I saying? But yeah, for the most part, that's how you would practice unconditional love. Now, I gotta say, in the beginning, if this is a foreign thing to you, then be patient with yourself. Is that, which is something, now that I even say that is something important too. You have to allow room for grace. I prefer to say room for grace rather than room for error, but room for grace, room for error, same. It's just, like, you have to be gentle with yourself and patient with yourself, just like you have to be gentle with yourself and patient with others, because, again, it's a two-way street, and unconditional love is one of those things that, honestly, you never stop learning, because as this experience continues to go on, like, stuff happens and you can get rocked and things can get a bit shaky, whether it's just you with yourself in your head or with your significant other. Like, stuff happens, and having that continued forgiveness, that continued love, and if you have to set up more boundaries to even burn that bridge with someone because, like, they cross that boundary too often, or they cross that one boundary that you, like, strictly communicated with, do not ever do this thing, then hey, do what you gotta do. And yeah, I think that would be it. Because that's that first step, I'm gonna stand by that. You have to learn to forgive yourself and love yourself. Like, once you learn to forgive yourself, that's one of those first steps to loving yourself. Because once you do that, it's a domino effect. Because as you practice on yourself, you will be able to communicate with others and be able to practice that with them. And not everyone is the same, so it's like again, it's going to be an ever learning process. It's not no two people are the same. But that'll be all. That is how you practice unconditional love, or how you begin to practice unconditional love, because there's no real end to it. If you are interested in working with me on, like, having your own spiritual journey, spiritual mentor, or a personal trainer, like, I'm quite literally a jack of all trades. I do personal training, I do spiritual mentoring, I do Reiki sessions, distance and in person, so you don't have to be in person to do a Reiki session. And I'm sure you see videos on YouTube of people doing Reiki sessions. It's just that for the ones that you book with me, they'll be more personalized, just like with the mentoring sessions and the personal training. Because, again, there is no one size fit all, like, workout program or meal plan or, like, even coaching program. The more we get to know each other, the more I'm able to help you. Because once you click on that link, choose whichever one you want, you will have the opportunity to describe what you want to talk about once we get to that point, whether it's about unconditional love, law of attraction, or anything of that nature. Just describe it to me, and then that will let me know what we're going to talk about once we get there. But yeah, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.